Janabun Yimbalang, where are you from? Who is your family? And how are we connected? In my culture, when we meet a new person, we do not say hello. Instead, we go around and find out how are we related and how do we be respectful within that relationship. Today, there's a lot of people here, so I'll keep it brief and use a more Western format. Nyajanu nilawa Marlikka, ngayo yimarawara manin, jaida buru iora. My name is Marlikka. I am a woman who belongs to the Fitzroy River. This is not my country. I am a grateful visitor, and not for the first time. Thank you to the people who have cared for this country since the beginning of time, and those who choose to care for it today. As a woman from Marawara, language is an important part of my identity. It's how I describe cultural practices, attachment to land and place, and relationships both of blood and skin. A system of relationships that allows a newborn to be a grandparent, a person to be related to the wind, or a tree whose name can only be spoken by women. First Nations people have spent tens of thousands of years customizing languages and laws to their country. Each tribe was and is influenced by their natural environment, responding to a unique collection of species that have grown to coexist in balance in that place. Land, language, and law are all entwined. Through generations of living on the river, our people have created, inherited, and maintained Walangari, a shared songline and legal system that allows us to share the river country collectively and holistically. This is one of many in a continental network.
We just want to explain while we're sitting on the river what Walangari is. Walangari is the law for the Fitzroy River. It was created in the beginning of time by our ancestor Wunyumbul. And it was very interesting because when Daisy Bates came here, this was prior to native title. And one of the things she said was she called the people Walangari people because Walangari law was a way of, and remains a way of, uniting all of the people along the river system under Walangari law, under these one principles. When we talk about first law, particularly as L-O-R-E, it sounds as if it's a mythical story, that it's a fable, that it's not true. And what we're saying is that no, the law of the river, Walangari law, is very, very clear. It teaches us values, ethics, codes of conduct, how we're to live in a world where everything is connected, how to have peace, how to have harmony, and how to have balance. So our law never changes, unlike white law. And so what we're saying is that this is a time for fusion of first law with Western law, with legal pluralism, and not to frame our law under L-O-R-E, which is, as I said, about myth, about legend. What we're talking about is reality and a code of conduct to ensure that this river not only has a right to life as an ancestral being, but it has a right to live and flow.
What my mother is saying there is that we want our legal systems to be framed with the same legitimacy as your own. So as I said, that's my mother, Dr. Anne Polina, chair of the Marawara Fitzroy River Council. I come from a long line of strong women, from my great-great-grandmother who walked out of the ranges after surviving a massacre, to my mother who has attained multiple masters and 2 PhDs. The people before me knew this concept of bugaragara. It's the idea that us as human beings must use the past in the present to protect the future. Last year I became pregnant and all of this became more relevant to me. I realized that I was my ancestors' future and my descendants' past. Time is circular and everything we are all doing now are for our children. As Nyigana lawman Paddy Rose says, this is the children's country. Children from many places, those whose ancestors have been here since the beginning of time, those with grandparents who migrated years ago, or those who have recently just arrived. When the birth came closer, We didn't know the gender of the baby or their name, but we knew that their totem or jutting was the pelican, Maeda. A jutting is a duty of care. It's a relationship where you pair a non-human being with a human being to remove a hierarchy and create a balance in society. It's a system to design well-being and sustainability for everything. Each of you here today could take it upon yourselves to select a species that you will love, study, and protect as a lifelong project. Not only was my son given a jutting, he was also given two names. One, the name from the saltwater country where we were both born, the name of a songman who has passed away. He was also given a name from freshwater, the Gurabai Gurabai bloodline, the name of a serpent man whose songline we travelled while I was pregnant. These names, these words, give Maeda a sense of identity, a connection to place, and a responsibility to everything that lives there. It is the developing stages of his lian. Lian is a word used to describe a feeling or an intuition where you become more connected to country and you're able to respond and read it. It allows you to understand who you are and what your place is in the world. We can all develop our lian.
It is good to talk for country, not talk to country, not talk for country, but talk to country. It is good for your mental state where you meditate with your thought of mind, and it's good for the exercise within your mind to exercise that. Like I was saying, we can speak to the earth, we can speak to the bird, bees, and the grass and the trees. Knowing when we leave that place, we know that they're listening. Our ancestors used to do that long before European came here, and our elders today, they still want us, they're teaching us that. They want us to embrace that story. Knowing that when you speak in language, like for an example, if I were to say, Yangan Jalajul Manin, Valaman Mara, meaning are you balanced within the conscience, within yourself? Or other ways of saying it, are your mind and heart, spirit and soul aligned with the earth that which you walk on? Knowing that when we walk on the earth can actually feel our presence. See? It's a different mind. You know? You would say, I'm actually speaking to the earth. And with that vibration, I feel that there's a transmission that is bouncing off from the earth, wanting me to understand that they can feel my presence. That's how we speak. English speak different way.
When Edwin asks me in the morning, is your heart and head aligned with country? The answer is I'm working on it. It's in place of the usual good morning, and it's an example of the depth of our language. Many of these Indigenous languages have been lost, many left critically endangered, and only a handful are spoken across multiple generations. We cannot afford to lose any more wisdom that has been realized through thousands of years of living with a place. These languages must be recorded, and there must be appropriate learning programs accessible for languages that must be heard. Our languages were not designed to be represented in English letters, stored in dictionaries thousands of kilometers away from country and custodians. These languages were meant to be spoken, sung, and danced on country. It was designed to transfer knowledge of collective guardianship and intergenerational connectedness. It is to keep country company now and into the future. An acknowledgement of country doesn't just belong at the beginning of every talk or on your website. It's a constant relationship that requires conversation and meditation. We must all look at this point in time and remember that the dreaming Bulgaragara creation wasn't just way back then. We are all a part of it now. Galeo.